1994, Malawi introduced multi-party system of government. The new democratic dispensation brought about a lot of freedoms and rights. Suddenly, school children started fighting for their rights. As they enjoyed their constitutional rights, some of the children disregarded their obligations and responsibilities. What followed was a breakdown of morals. In an attempt to correct the situation, the government, through the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, introduced a new subject in schools called life skills. The subject was introduced in Form 1 in the year 2000 and in Form 3 in 2003. Now, life skills is taught in both primary and secondary schools. Raphael Agabu is Acting Director for the Department of Inspectorate and Advisory Services in the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology. He sheds some light about the birth of the subject.
As a ministry, we had the duty to look at this breakdown of morals and bring sanity into the system. So we as a ministry that deals with educating the youth of this country, and also a department that deals with issues of curriculum and the inspection, we advised the ministry, so that the ministry advised the government, and the authorities accepted that we introduce life skills in the system.
But parents are supposed to teach their children morals, aren't they?
In those old days, the discipline of children was in the hands of the parents. But with the advent of freedoms and rights, most parents are not free to talk to their kids. They are not free to teach their children how they should behave, whether in the family or in public. So, the system, since it is responsible for upbringing of children, morally, academically, and socially, we took life skills as a vehicle to transfer those morals to the children. The ministry is there to save people from that which can destroy them. That parents are failing to tell their kids, it is our duty, the ministry as a parent, to tell the kids, when you grow up, you will meet A, B, C, D. You have to be prepared mentally.
The World Health Organization, WHO, defines life skills as abilities for adaptive and positive behavior that enable individuals to deal effectively with demand and challenges of everyday life. The life skills represent psychosocial skills that determine valued behavior and include reflective skills such as problem solving and critical thinking, personal skills such as self-awareness, and interpersonal skills. United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, promotes a life skills approach by working with the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology. The organization has been providing financial assistance to the ministry to make the subject more effective. Atanase Nzokirishaka is UNFP resident representative in Malawi and talks about the rationale behind their involvement.
As you know, UNFPA takes the youth as an important target for its interventions. Young people are the future of any society, and young people are numerically very important in any society, particularly in the developing world. And young people at the same time face a number of threats and challenges. If you look at reproductive health issues, young people are vulnerable to early marriage, drop-off schools, teenage pregnancies, HIV/AIDS infections, etc. So it's very important that we give information to young people so that they can behave in a more informed manner.
Malawi Institute of Education is responsible for curriculum development and orientation of teachers. John Maganga is Assistant Director at the Institute and coordinates life skills activities. What is his impression of the subject content and the quality of orientation life skill teachers undergo?
In terms of content, particularly for the junior secondary, is comprehensive enough. As for training of teachers, let me state that for life skills, training of teachers is only done as an orientation to the teachers. It's not part and parcel of the training in colleges. However, we have given 1 week training to the teachers at Malawi Institute of Education, and I believe that any trained teacher who has gone through the training that we have given has acquired quite a lot and is able to teach without any fear.
Initially, the subject was compulsory, but not examinable. Having realized the important role the subject plays in shaping young people into responsible citizens, the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology declared it compulsory and examinable with effect from the year 2010. What do teachers say about the subject?
When I had the book at first, I had some negative attitude just by looking at the blurb of the book, that is the backside. But when I got through and started teaching, I have really seen that it's a subject of real life experience. We cannot do without it because it has come at the foundation of almost each and every syllabus. I will just give an example as a boarding person. There was an incident whereby a student got a disease, I think that was gonorrhea. He came to me and then he explained. We tried to talk to each other and tried to counsel him, and then things improved, right? Because we thought that that was the end of life. But when he went to the Banjaran to go, he was assisted and everything went on well until he had his examinations of the national examinations of MSCE.
It equips the students to have skills which they can use to help themselves, their family, even the community, on how we can deal with such problems.
For a student to understand the content in each and every subject, that student requires life skills. Every subject, you need a life skill. You talk of English, you need the communication, good communication. Talk of physical science, you need critical thinking. Talk of maybe geography and the like. All those subjects, they need life skills.
I like life skills very much because as a teacher, I also learn a lot of things from the subject. So far, since we introduced this lesson at school, we have seen an improvement in the relationship between teachers and students. Previously, whenever students, especially the girl students, had problems, they could not approach the teachers. But with the coming of life skills and the counseling and guidance that is there in the life skills, girls are free to come and approach us whenever they have problems.
It's the first subject which is looking at issues to do with sexuality, education. That is a very, very important aspect because with this time it is helping us to deal with issues concerning HIV and AIDS.
The difficult part of this subject is that it is talking about, it is like against our values and beliefs, whereby you talk of things that you are not supposed to talk to your daughter. And that has got a negative impact. If teachers are taking that one, then the conveying of the message becomes a difficult part.
We don't have enough materials because the life skills, the way the books were written, there are books that involve too much activities. There are topics that involve too much interaction, topics that involve maybe resource persons to be coming at the schools. So we find problems in identifying who is to be also space where we can talk on specific topics. That is a major challenge that we find here.
Up to now, there is no clear-cut career opportunities because you are studying life skills. Because when you check on the vacancies for positions in the university, when they are calling for entrance, they will not mention a credit in life skills. Yet, if they could mention it for those who are taking humanities, it's applicable because those who will be taking humanities in universities, they will be taking philosophy, they will be taking Bible knowledge, they will be taking history. And it's a good background, life skills. And practically, it can also help them how to deal with the challenge of being at that adult level. So if the ministry, if the nation can emphasize on the career opportunities.
And what do pupils have to say?
Life skills has taught me something that I should be assertive. They really say true that information is the mother of transformation. I have been transformed since I have learned life skills.
Life skills is a very good subject to me as an individual because it helps me to know to prevent peer pressure and to be assertive, to make good goals, and it helps me also to prevent myself from bad friends. Some friends drink beer, some go with girls, and it helps me to stay away from them because I know that if I go with girls, I can contract HIV/AIDS and I can get STIs. And so if I try to take beer also, I can be a drunkard, which I lose concentration on education.
Life skills also teaches us about our values here at school and even at home. So if we learn our values here, even if we go out, we learn to control ourselves because it doesn't only teach us, but it also tells us to practice what we learn here. So it's like we teach each other and then we know what we have to do so that we should not get pregnant and that we should avoid the boys so that we should have a brighter future.
I've achieved a lot from this subject. At first, I was indulging myself into other bad behaviors. But for example, working with girls, when I realized that having somebody is something so bad, I changed up my mind in saying, oh, my girlfriend, I think we should set apart. I focus on my education, because I believe in the trust that I'll be a lawyer since that's the goal which I have. And as of now, I'm having good points on those subjects which I was failing.
The life skills approach employs participatory and interactive methodologies, including role-playing and other theater techniques, exploration of feelings, analysis of gender stereotyping, training in negotiation skills, and questions and answer sessions. Both Agabu and Maganga are grateful to the UNFPA for the assistance the organization has been providing to make life skills education a success.
In summary, let me state that with funding from UNFPA, we have done quite a lot, and we are able to see the fruits of the work that we have done with UNFPA funding. And we're only hoping that UNFPA will continue funding us because we still have a long way to go in terms of training of teachers and provision of books and supplementary materials.
Hello and welcome. It is time for another program on life skills education in Malawi. In today's program, we go to Mzuzu, Nkatabe, and Mchinji districts. First, let's meet students from Mzuzu Government Secondary School who are discussing self-awareness.
When we talk of self-awareness, What are we trying to say?
When you talk about self-awareness, this is the general perception one have about oneself.
The factors that we look at, we mostly look at knowing what you want, which involves somebody knowing what he or she wants to do in life, and this considers the career which somebody wants to take up. And then we also look at where you come from, knowing your background, because they say there's no future without the past.
Self-esteem is the way one feels of oneself, or in other words, is the value one places on him or herself.
Now, we have tried to define what self-awareness is. But is it true that self-awareness can be affected by the adolescence period one is passing through?
A person has to make choices that can help oneself, and adolescent stage is like the stage that you become rude and you can't take everybody's advice. You only want to take what you want to do, but sometimes what your choices are, they are bad.
Self-awareness can be affected by adolescence. When a person has reached the adolescent stage, he may not listen to the parents. As a result, he or she can lead to the peer pressure, which, like in prostitution, as a result, that person will end up having a teenage pregnancy.
We will look at the factors that may lower your self-esteem and the factors that may enhance your self-esteem, and what will be the impact of the negative effect of low self-esteem or the positive effect of high self-esteem.
Self-esteem can be enhanced by taking responsibility of one's action, overcoming guidance and counseling, and accomplishing one's life.
Let's look at the relationship between self-esteem, self-awareness, and the HIV/AIDS. If we go for self-awareness, self-esteem, that has got a skill that we can get from there as regards to how we can approach the issue of HIV/AIDS at hand. Now, what is the relationship?
When one feels positive about oneself, or one has high self-esteem or high self-awareness, is able to cope up with the things which can lead him or her to HIV and AIDS. So he or she is able to overcome the things that can lead him or her to HIV and AIDS.
The relationship between self-awareness, self-esteem, and HIV/AIDS is that first, when somebody knows what he or she wants in life, and that is self-awareness, that means that somebody can give a deaf ear to what people say about him or think about him, and that way he or she can have a high self-esteem. And when one has a high self-esteem, he or she can be able to resist the pressures people put on him, his adolescents put on him, and he can be able to cope with the situations that happen in his life day to day. And that way he can also be able to prevent HIV and AIDS.
The relationship between self-awareness, self-esteem, and HIV and AIDS is that self-awareness is knowing yourself physically, socially, and psychologically. So when you know yourself physically, socially, and psychologically, you are able to prevent behaviors that may lead you to contracting HIV and AIDS. And also self-esteem is the value that one places on oneself. So when you put yourself on a positive, when you have a positive self-esteem, you may not indulge in activities that may lead to contracting HIV and AIDS.
Those were students from Zuzu Government Secondary School discussing self-awareness. Next we go to Nkatabe. Students at Nkatabe Secondary School are going to discuss drug and substance abuse.
Okay, today we want to use this forum to discuss drug and alcohol abuse. This is one of the topics that are taught in life skills. Now, before we begin anything, we would like to define what is a drug and what do you understand by abuse. Now I will invite anyone from our group to try to define what do we understand by drug.
This is anything that is used to relieve pain.
Medicine that is used for to cure the person.
From these two attempts, the drug is really a substance that is used for medicinal purposes. In other words, for healing purposes. Then our next definition, or our next term to define, is substance. What do you understand by the word substance?
A substance is any kind of matter.
Yeah, it's right. A substance is any kind of matter. So examples of substance could be chamber is a substance, glue is a substance, and many other examples that we can give. From there, we said our third term that we are going to define in this forum is abuse. What do we understand by abuse? Because drugs and substances are put to abuse.
Is using things wrong.
Okay, yes, abuse is to use something wrongly. So drugs and substances can be put to wrong use. Now, if we put something to wrong use, it means we are abusing it. Now, from the definition of these terms, we have to jump to common drugs that are abused in Malawi. Alcohol is one of the substances which is commonly abused. Another?
Okay.
Yes, so we also have cocaine apart from alcohol. Another substance?
Glue.
Glue is also among the substances which are also abused. From examples of substances which are abused, we want to look at the causes, because we have said these are common substances which are abused in Malawi, but we have to look at the reasons why people abuse such substances. So let's hear from this forum. What are the reasons why people abuse such substances?
To relieve stress and anxiety.
The first cause, or the first reason why people abuse substance, is really to release stress and anxiety. That's when you are almost frustrated. People want to throw away their frustrations through using drugs and substances. Another reason,
peer pressure.
Being coaxed with the fellow youth. So many examples of youth in Malawi have used drugs and substances out of peer pressure. This is where you are personally not very much willing to do the abuse, but you are coaxed by friends. Another reason why there is drug and substance abuse.
Others use drugs to remove pregnancies.
The other idea coming out of here is that some substances are abused just because they want to do abortion. That is the removal of pregnancy. Maybe we should be mentioning the cause of drug and substance abuse, and probably the drug or substance that is used for that reason.
Ignorance about the drugs.
So one of the commonest causes or reasons why people abuse drugs is because they are ignorant about the functions of the substances or the alcohol or the drugs that they are using. Now let's look at the consequences or effects of drug and substance abuse.
Madness, death, committing suicide, mental disorder,
school dropout.
A person becomes addicted to drugs and substances.
It leads to low development because the drug users cannot participate actively in the development of the nation.
Having looked at the effects of drug and substance abuse, we need to look at ways how we can prevent drug and substance abuse. Let's start with that.
There must be a civic education to people and youth so that they should know the better ways of using drug and substances.
Avoiding peer pressure, because if you wait for your friends to make decisions for you, then you are putting yourself into trouble.
Making an effective reaction by the government to those who abuse the drugs.
It is my hope that from this discussion we are going to try to employ some of these ways. We may not employ all of them at one time, but try to use one of these ways when it comes to a situation where somebody wants to put you into drug and substance abuse.
We started our program with a discussion on self-awareness in Mzuzu, and then we went to Nkatabe for drug and substance abuse. Let's finally conclude the program with a discussion in Mchinji. Students from Mchinji Secondary School are discussing stress and anxiety management.
Some of the issues that we discuss when we are looking at stress and anxiety management we study, we analyze the situations that lead to stress and anxiety. And some of these situations are teenage pregnancies, early marriages, and the drug and substance abuse. We have discussed this. Can we have a volunteer who may actually help to discuss more how we have avoided situations like early pregnancies, drug and substance abuse? How have we prevented them? And in the end, we have also prevented ourselves from being found in these situations.
The skills are improved in my custom now.
All right.
Because in our tradition custom, they says if you are a girl, if you are enough matured, you need to go to Shinamwa, where there is other ways which are not cool, which can make us to contact some diseases. So as for me, I've avoided that Shinamwa because I have known from life skills that it is not good. You contact some diseases like AIDS.
Perhaps you could give us an example of these customs or traditions that most of the girls are forced to do.
Like for as we are Tumbukas, we have got some Timwiri. So yeah, where we are involved.
Timwiri?
Yeah, where we are involved with the feast. So we have improved in our village. They stopped that because of less skills. Because the people are improving right now.
Life skills in my life have also improved my life in such a way that when I'm doing some things, I do abstain, like having a relationship, because that this way there are diseases. And life skills teach us that there are some diseases like gonorrhea, sexual transmitted diseases, which comes because of doing sexual relationships. So this makes me to fear when I'm doing things, to fear that when I'll do this thing, the end result is that I will get a pregnancy or then I will get the diseases. So this, when I'm doing things, I know that I should do things which can help my life and which can make my health to be good.
Indeed, life skills is a subject of paramount importance because nowadays boys are involved in conflict. So I've learned some of the ways of mitigating this conflict by maybe meditation or by just humbling yourself. In the process of meditation is whereby one find a third person who tries to pacify the people who are involved in the conflict. So life skills has indeed helped me in solving some of the conflicts.
Actually, life skills has done a lot to my life. One day we were learning about drug and substance abuse. After that topic, I had something in my head because here at school, we are with teachers, we are with our friends, and maybe you can restrict yourself from doing what? Drug and substance abuse. But maybe when I'm alone at home, maybe my friend can call me, Hannah, come, let's do this and that. But when I remember that one day my teacher was telling me that substance abuse are not good and they can maybe disturb my mind, even school cannot work. So as a result of life skills, my life has really improved.
That is all for today. Until next time when we bring you yet another edition of Life Skills program. My name is Peter Jegwa Kumwenda. Bye-bye. We are continuing with our series of special programs on life skills. Life skills as a subject taught in schools is a relatively new concept. In fact, it only became examinable just last year in 2010. But what are the challenges faced in the teaching of this new subject? Let's hear from some of the teachers.
The first challenge is that there are some topics that I'm not familiar with just because I didn't go under training. I just taken the subject since because that the first time I was in the World Life Club with Patrol. So that is the first challenge. The second one is due to lack of teaching materials.
We are almost 6 who teach life skills, but if you may look at it closely, I'm the only one who went for training for junior section. The one who went for senior section is not here, got transferred. So I can say that most of the teachers face problems in teaching the subject. So maybe my plea to you is that in one way or the other, workshops may be put in place so that teachers may be trained properly.
The trouble with the schools this time, we do not have teachers that are specialized in life skills. As I told you, to come up with these people who are teaching life skills, we did that because they had an interest in counseling the students. And some of the topics for guidance and counseling are the ones that are in life skills. So because of their interest, they were chosen. But the school doesn't have qualified teachers that can come and teach life skills. But I'm glad to say we have life skills introduced in universities, so that in January, Chancellor College is bringing us a teacher with the life skills, meaning that the government is actually putting its efforts towards life skills, and that is good to us.
I am a church elder. Now some students, they belong to our church. Now when I'm teaching, after I have taught, they always say, you talk explicitly like this. So I always say, no, this is a different situation altogether. Here we are assisting each other so that at least we have to grow spiritually and even so in other things which affect our lives in a daily living.
You know, sometimes, especially born again Christians, they feel like life skills subject is a subject where you are talking about bad things and the like, which is not like that. But little by little, when they are also trained as teachers, they are able to teach the students.
When you are teaching, especially on the sexuality, you find you introduce the topic, you are in the course of teaching, you find that other students, because of traditions and maybe religion, you find that some of the students, they walk out from the class. When you are trying to look from the syllabus from Form 1 up to Form 4, most of the topics that are there, they are being repeated. That's one of the challenges.
The challenge is that the subject itself cannot be taught to the maximum because of the congestion on the master timetable. There are just too many subjects such that life skills tend not to have enough time in terms of teaching. Instead of teaching for 3 periods, at times we resort to 2 and even 1 period per class, such that it's not enough time to capture all the topics that are life skills. At times we don't cover much work. And another challenge is on the other topics that do not relate to life skills as far as it aims at combating HIV/AIDS. I just feel some of the topics ought to remain in home economics and others to remain in social studies, because that integration is confusing at times.
We are only having one book, book 3, book 4, it's just one, like MIC, and it's very small. The content is very small. If there are issues to be added, they are most welcome. I think this is a very important subject, and the topics that are there, I think we can look for more topics. All the topics, all the issues that we need to learn as individuals that will keep us with skills, they have to be incorporated into this syllabus.
Those were some of the teachers who are involved in the teaching of life skills program in our different secondary schools in Malawi. Let's now hear from the officials. First, let's hear from Mr. Raphael Agabu. He is from the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology.
When it was in the project mode, the partners, more especially UNFPA and UNICEF, came to the Ministry's aid by producing materials that were being distributed to schools free. But this time, schools can buy core texts from the book market, but they don't find the supplementary materials. We would need, at a certain point, to have resources with which we have to produce tailor-made materials to distribute to schools, so that life skills is taught in the way the ministry or government would want it to be done at the secondary school subsector. The higher education subsector has not responded favorably, in the sense that life skills as a new subject, there are no teachers graduating from the university to come into the secondary subsector to teach as life skills teachers. So we are borrowing from other areas. Those people who teach biology, those teaching social studies, others teaching mathematics, have also come in to assist in the teaching of life skills. So there will be a greater need for us to introduce a course for life skills in the university to make sure that this subject is well grounded by having people who are having skills and competences to handle the subject.
Mr. John Maganga is from the Malawi Institute of Education. This is what he has to say.
Life skills is not just like any other subject. It's a subject that is aiming at changing behaviors. And if it is taught like physics and any other subject, then we are losing out. So we would want people to teach it the way it has to be taught, so that the young ones participate and understand why the subject is there.
Life skills as a subject was introduced in the year 2000. It became examinable in 2010. Yes, there are challenges, but it has had benefits too. Let's hear what some of the beneficiaries and the teachers have to say. It's now time to hear from the students and the teachers.
Since I started taking life skills, it made me think more about the future. And then by this, it's like I started thinking more about my responsibilities and my capabilities. And then life skills also made me think more about people, other people, and especially my relatives. And then that's when I realized that what I do, I just don't do it for me. I do it for some more other people out there.
Since this life skills was being introduced here in our school, it has done more good, especially for us girls, because here in Karabe, it's a place where we receive many tourists from different countries, and they use girls from this area as entertainment on them, and they take sex to entertain them, and this has affected many girls, because when maybe you have those sex with them, maybe they can leave you having that pregnant, which means you will drop up from school, which was very bad. But with this life skills subject, I have seen many girls, and even now they are able to say no.
This subject has benefited me a lot, because the time I came here in this campus, I was in a certain group company. I mean, it was indeed a bad company, because what it was doing wasn't good. Then when I met with Mrs. Ruhanga, he told me things about how self-esteem, high self-esteem and low self-esteem. And then I realized that what I was doing then was not good. And I decided to leave that company and start doing things on my own. And now I'm able to do things without being influenced by someone. And that time I wasn't doing well in class. And now I'm able to participate in classes, doing things what our teachers want to do, and I am passing. I have now good grades.
Life skills has helped me in decision making, because I made the decision, and on also resisting peers, because it was just like a peer pressure, so that I should marry. But I resisted him as a peer, and I made right decision. I think twice of my decision, and I assure that the decision was right and it's helpful.
Now I know how to set personal goals and I plan for the future and different things. I have learned different things in life skills subject.
Life skills has taught me a lot of things, mainly on I always do the things that I feel like doing when I'm doing them. For example, the time my daddy died, I was stressed up, I was feeling like I don't know, but it was worse. Then some people had to say that when you smoke chamba, you feel aile. Then I had to try it. Then I was feeling like when I smoke, I was like, everything was going on well. But when I started learning life skills, I learned a lot, like anxiety can go away just because when you are chatting with friends, they express more views. When that is cooperation, that is. And after that, I stopped at the same moment. Then I tried the other way round. Then I saw that I started feeling good, and the way I am, everything is okay.
I remember when I was in Form 1, many students were used to drink beer, smoking and doing bad things. But because of these subjects, actually has changed them now. They know who they are and they know what can they achieve academically. And because of this, I don't have many ways to say. My mind or my idea is just to respect this subject and encourage many students to like it and enjoy it all the times. Thank you.
We have seen a drop, the dropping of the pregnancy rate at this school. For example, in 2008 we have 5 dropouts just because of pregnancy. Then 2009 we had 3. 2010 only 1, which means that there is a reduction. Life skills has an impact on the lives of the students.
During graduation, people thought, or the students thought, graduation time is time to make merry, time to go out, to make love to anybody, to do anything, to drink, whatsoever. But with these life skills, people have changed their perspective, they have changed their attitude. It's not like that anymore. In 10 years' time, we expect students of continuing Sunday school to be like Kacheberi Major Seminary. I'm not saying that it's going to be perfect. Of course, we can't reach perfection. But we're saying things are improving at an increasing rate.
Life skills is important, especially to my own side, according to my experiences. Just because since I learned self-awareness, I've now known my strengths and weaknesses. So I now know which part I have to work hard, or which part I have not to put so much strength. So in that way, my performance has gone up. At first, I was meeting problems like, soon after I was selected as a vice head girl, I was meeting some problems like there was so much pressure put on me, and even I was not having so much time. Most of the times I had to be called, hey, do this, do that. So in that case, it was like I was being affected. But then when I learned life skills, I learned how to prioritize things, how to divide my time, how to know maybe at this moment, or the strengths and weaknesses. So with the little time I have, I know how to use it. And also I know, because of my weaknesses and strengths which I identified, I know where to put so much strength and where not to put so much strength.
I think the program has been a success story, although the evaluation has still to confirm this. But again, we need, for this program as for other programs, ownership of the government is key. And sustainability is an important factor. So we look forward to government taking over some of those activities that have been so far supported by the UNFPA assistance.
That is where we come to the end of the program. This program was sponsored by UNFPA. My name is Peter Chegwa Kumwenda. Bye-bye.